الطيبت كوثن ممو بوعيدا قمودعي دمشارين أطا يستوثي أمريكوي ميفل قد يوم تحمشو اشتو عسري بيرحو دموحا أم زيني ورهي بوي الداعش بدكو ثثي بقريثو ادغيبش ادكتيو قاروتو مقريثو التل شميرام وقريثو دحويج قبطورو دا عبد العزيز ودكوثي قاريوي مقريثو أوثوريتو التل بالوعة وميدانو آثي بثر مبويونو دموت بو دوشينو سيكوريتي كانسل دطلب لي أثمل حمشو عسري بيرحو وترفيو ضحطي في أماثي محدو وآثي السنة بثر مهفوخيه وبوينت زايدي ميوازي روثو ديباريوثو أمريكيتو على ليشونو دملونيثو بشمو ديوازي روثو وبويونو ديوازي روثو دبارويثو روسيتو وفرنسيتو ودفتيكان تحصلن كله على ترفيو ضحطيفه وتضعيراثي لبو تثي ونطورو دمشي حوي بفنيثو ومهفوخي دهاون بثر محيوصو وزمومو دوزوعو اوثرويو بسويد علو ميديا وفوليتي قوري وبيم قبلونوثو عمو وزيروثو دبارويثو سويديتو مارغوت والستروم براديو سويدويو وديلونو إيث بحيوصو دروبرت حنا وقويو مو اوثرويو ببرلمنتو سويدويو أعلى ما قرلا ومرلا دوميدد هاوي بعراق ودكوي بسوريا لفعامو اوثرويو هانو قميتا مري قطولو دعامو وميقا بحرينو مشارين أفاطي يرخي دمحون هنستني إكليتثي خطفاطر يرخو يوسف يونان وأفرام كريم ومار أدي وفاطر يرخو لويس ساكو دم شادر لي حمشي $1000 لعضرونو دم قلوية دو خابور ودطلبلن كله دهوي كلويو بفوث الداعش ودمي تضعري أحطيفي بشينو لمو رثي وقريا وثثي ودطلبلن استني دمعود على شرويو دو قطرو تكيت بسوريا بأرحو شلمويتو ولكلويو عمو أوثرويو دخابور وتعليو دقولو مقابلو ميدد هاوي بيغوزرتو سوريا قريلي أحويو دو أوثرويو دسويد التقليثو يوم تشبثو 28 بيرحو شعتو 4 هلا حمش بميد بورير بلاتسون بستوكهولم وأحنا خد أسيريا تيفي العيني شوولو ولدوروشو دميدد هاوي وعيلو ثيديدي من عقوبة كيت أعلي وشوشو طحاثة كون قد سيمينا فروسو حايو يوم الدعروتو شواو عسري بيرحو بثر مثل قد يومو وعلى زبنو دكمو شوعي وعم فرصوفي مشحلفي
مقبل أنا إيفان رومينا جوناس بشنتيتون على ام بي عديت لن خط بقتا بميوكرا ستيفن وشانا قد إلى Executive Director of Demand for Action. Demand for Action for دبرانيت ميوكرا نوري كينو عدينا جو واشنطن دي سي خيشنا الوايت هاوس بيقنا بكونغرسمان أو كونغرسوومن جو وايت هاوس. ستيفن ديفن خاري ريبورت بازت من مايت بيقنا مهم زمنا مو جواب شقيلنا. Stephen, welcome to AMB.
Shalom Aleichem. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Stephen, would you please give us a report about when did you guys go to the White House and why did you go and what kind of, did you get any results?
So we actually didn't, as a group, we didn't go to the White House this particular trip. I've been in touch with the White House and we speak to them regularly. However, this trip, Nuri didn't join me this time around. The last time, as a group, we went to the White House with Nuri was on September 10th. So we were meeting we met with a number of members of Congress and senators, as well as the State Department. We met with Senator Ted Cruz's office, Congressman Dave Trott of Michigan, Annie Eshoo of California, Jan Schakowsky of Illinois, Brad Sherman from California. Today we met with Congressman Chris Smith as well from New Jersey. So we've had a fairly busy day the last couple of days, and we've been in these meetings since yesterday morning, pretty much nonstop until now. We also met with Ambassador David Saperstein, who's the ambassador at large for international religious freedoms.
And what did you guys discuss?
The sort of ground zero conversation now has been the situation in Syria, the situation in Khabur, the hostages, the sort of went over kind of this sort of current status of this crisis. Our organization, Nuri, and a number of other folks in a Demand for Action are in regular contact with our friends, family in Khabur, in Hasake, and so we were giving these members of Congress updates. We were updating the State Department of sort of what the current status is. As that situation was developing, and we were making our policy suggestions on how the U.S. should respond to this. The primary concern right now, the immediate concern, are the people that are currently being held hostage and the people that are currently under siege. We called on the president, and in my conversations with the White House over the last few days, we made it clear to them that our belief is that the only way to end this crisis is with direct U.S. intervention. That includes expanded airstrikes that are more aggressive to hit ISIL targets, including resupply routes between Iraq and Syria, as well as direct U.S. intervention with troops on the ground. I mean, we do believe at this point the U.S. military needs to intervene in Syria.
And what is their take? I mean, what are they planning to do?
What they're planning to do is always sort of sort of an open question. The operative word there is planning. And the point that we made to them was that we don't have a lot of time for planning. These people are potentially going to get massacred. We have the potential for a really bad situation on our hands. Not that the situation we have now isn't bad, but we could potentially have hundreds and hundreds of people slaughtered. So we are what they're planning to do is a good question. I know in the last 24 to 48 hours, we have seen, to the extent that I can talk about it, we have seen a stepped up air campaign in and around the Hasake region in Syria. We've seen several ISIL targets hit that have been to a limited extent, degrading their capacity. In particular, our sort of suggestion for how we can best affect that situation is by directly supporting our people, Assyrians on the ground who are fighting to defend those villages, by supplying them with weapons, with ammunition, in addition to the humanitarian aid that's going to that area right now.
And now, did they specify if they have what their plans are as far as the hostages? Is anyone negotiating to release the hostages?
There are some negotiations that are taking place from what I understand. I can't really speak to the government, the U.S. government's involvement in that for a number of reasons. I mean, obviously, this is something that the National Security Council and the State Department are involved in and following carefully. And then there are, from what I've been told from my organizational leaders, who are the ones who are actually talking to the people on the ground. To clarify, I'm not actually the one talking to anyone in Syria. It's the people in our organization who sort of compile that information for me. And so, from what I understand, there are negotiations taking place to free some of these or all of these hostages. And that's sort of the extent that I can comment on that. I mean, as far as the U.S.'s involvement, we really, it's their policy not to comment on sort of ongoing situations like that. We do think that there is an opportunity here for the U.S. to take a more prominent role in any kind of negotiations. So far, we haven't gotten any indication that that's necessarily going to happen.
Did you say that's not necessarily going to happen? So they may not.
I mean, we haven't gotten any sort of direct indication that that the White House, for example, is going to get directly involved in or directly negotiate or anything like that. That's really something that tends to get handled on a local level, in Syria, and that. There are sort of organizations and political parties there within our community and the sort of local community that are better equipped to handle that. So, all indications, from what I understand, I don't. If I were just going to be perfectly honest, I don't see the sort of the president kind of or anyone mediating that hostage situation directly.
Now, do you know if ISIS has told us what their demands are to release the hostages, possibly?
Whether they plan to release the hostages, I mean, generally speaking,
what are their demands? Have they given us any demands? Like, give us money, we'll release them. Give us what they're asking for.
my understanding of that is that the demands are prisoner exchanges, freeing and releasing ISIS combatants who are being held by the Kurds in exchange for these prisoners. That's the only sort of thing that I have been able to verify at any point. Whether that's sort of changed in the last 24 hours is unclear. But really, the only thing we've been able to verify that they want is this prisoner exchange.
Okay. Now, I know demanding for Nineveh plains. Have you guys, that's one of the items that all of us have been writing to Congress about and talking about it. Now, I'm sure you guys have discussed it. Did they give you any indication that there is any hope for us to have the Nineveh plains, or is it just a wishful thinking?
So our, in the appropriations bill, in the omnibus bill that passed back in December, we were able to secure language in the report that gave guidance to the State Department on implementing the Nineveh Plains province. So we do have sort of some legislation on the books that supports that. The big, I'd say the most common response that we get, that I've been getting about the Nineveh Plains province, is that this is really an Iraqi issue at this point. I mean, the U.S. quite frankly supports it, but there is, it has the guidance is there to the State Department, but we are there's a limit to what the U.S. can do there. I mean, this, creating a new province, that's something that has to be taken up in Iraq. And prior to Abadi coming in, prior to Maliki being pushed out, that was an issue that had started getting some traction. Where that is in the Iraqi government is always an open question. The Iraqi government is fairly non-functional for the most part, and so that is something that our political parties in Iraq are going to have to deal with. We can get them the support from the U.S., but if the Iraqis aren't, if our parties in Iraq, if the Iraqi people or the Iraqi government is not really moving on that, we can certainly apply pressure through the U.S. through a number of channels. But that's the creation of a province is an Iraqi question, and our parties there are going to have to take the lead on that.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. What about this morning? I had a phone call from Erbil, and the person I was talking to, I had met a few years ago, and at that time he was telling me that he does not want to leave Iraq and he wants to live there, northern Iraq, and his family wants to live there. But today it was a different story. Today he said, we really want to get out. We want to leave. We don't see any hope. Now, are we doing anything about people who want to leave the country, or Syria or Iraq? I know right now they're running from one country to the other, and ISIS is moving from one country to the other. So even if they go to Lebanon, you don't know. I'm sure ISIS is working its way to Lebanon. So do we have any plans to actually capture these people or support them and get them out of the country? Is anyone doing anything about that?
So there are a lot of Assyrian, Chaldean Syriac organizations that deal with immigration, and resettlement. A demand for action as an organization, like we are a media and a political organization. So we don't sort of directly resettle individuals. That's not sort of what we do. However, we do support policy and work with our government in any way that we can to make it a little bit more expedited or more, also more safe for people who are kind of already leaving. The reality, though, however, this is something that happens through UNHCR, through various governments who are taking these people in. There is a very, very sort of limited scope to how we can sort of address this crisis with immigration. There's no, we have hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people who, if you gave them the opportunity to leave right now, they probably would. And it's not really a question of whether they want to leave. There's no countries in the world are taking in all these people. Immigration is a process. It takes years to get those visas processed, and there's already a backlog of people who are already outside of the country trying to leave. So, the notion that we can somehow have an immigration solution to this problem is, quite frankly, that's a romantic fantasy. I mean, we don't really have a choice at this point but to find solutions in those countries, in Iraq and Syria, for our people to be able to live there. I mean, there's just the number of refugees that were accepted out of Syria before were like 200. The U.S. multiplied the number of refugees they're accepting from Syria by 10. That's still only 2,000. That's assuming, and not all of those are going to be Christians. So, we're really, it's just that's not a solution. We can't, people are being killed right now. Khabur is being sieged right now. Nineveh is half occupied right now. That is what we need to deal with, and there's no way to get everyone out. So from our perspective, we have to sort of deal with the immediate crisis right now. The immediate crisis is Assyrian villages across Syria and Iraq are under siege, and we need to fight that, and we need to support the people who are on the ground fighting to protect our presence in that land.
Now, are we asking the government or the government, United States government, to actually help us financially to do this? Because I know we're doing lots of fundraising among the Assyrian community, but I don't think that's enough to support our troop there. And have we actually directly asked them for funds?
Absolutely. I mean, that was the whole purpose when we amended the National Defense Bill. That was sort of to create an opportunity to get large scale funding for security forces, to build local security forces. Unfortunately, that's a process, right? Building local security is a process. We have a crisis right now, and we directly asked our members of Congress, the president, to directly support the people who are on the front lines fighting in Khabur, to protect those villages. And so, the short answer is absolutely. Of course, we and I'll say it on television. We believe and we ask the U.S. government to directly support our people who are fighting to defend our villages and our presence in our ancestral homeland.
And what was their answer?
It's never, one of the sort of difficulties with Washington is that Washington is not really sort of a place where things just happen. This is a very kind of like deliberate process, and it's generally fairly slow. We have ways that we can expedite that, but what I will say is that most of the members of Congress we spoke to were supportive of this idea. Translating that support into actual airdrops of munitions, that takes more than 24 hours, right? So from the time that we ask them to when we might start seeing some direct support, and to be fair, to be fair about that, if that direct support comes in a more sort of through a clandestine operation, that's not something that we're going to necessarily kind of hear about. But at this point, our request to them was direct support to our fighters who are defending Khabur at the moment. We have a number of channels that we can use to affect that. One of them that moves a little bit faster than getting actual artillery support is getting financial support to those people, and so that is something that we're working on. Unfortunately, one of the sort of most tragic things about our political system is that these are all processes. These are things that take time. It's really time that we don't have. And so the efforts to raise money in the diaspora right now to support the people in Kabul and Syria who are fighting for our villages, that's crucial right now too. I mean, at this moment, every dollar that gets there is desperately needed.
Right. Now, as far as I know, we have done several fundraising, and probably we'll have more fundraising events. I was thinking maybe if we can focus this fundraising, basically reaching out to all the well-to-do Assyrians that have millions, and ask them directly to contribute rather than wait for them to call a phone number on the telephone, over the TV, and donate money. So do we have plans to actually strategically identify all the wealthy Assyrians that may be sympathetic to the cause and actually ask them to support our cause, support our people?
We have some people in Sweden and in Europe who are raising money. I can't give you an exact number. This was a very sort of like a very recent thing. I don't know whether that's going to go anywhere or not. Like sort of whether they're going to be able to do that. We have to consider, obviously, with stuff like that, there are always legal concerns. So that is something that would be. I think in general, in principle, I 100% support that idea. And it's something that I think quite frankly, we should have been fundraising. We should have been, the well-to-do Assyrians, the wealthy Assyrians should have been giving money this whole time. They should have been giving money for the last 20 years if they haven't. I know a lot of people do. A lot of people already do, and so we can't pull everyone in that category. But that's something that has to be an ongoing thing. And I know from a humanitarian perspective, obviously we have some really great organizations like the Assyrian Aid Society, who do a great job of this. If it were me personally, my sort of best guess is to use the infrastructure you already have. We already have some infrastructure with organizations like AAS, sort of like how kind of quickly they can translate that, or how quickly that can sort of be, transferred or transmitted to the people to the people who need that humanitarian relief. I don't have an answer for how quickly that can happen. I would refer you to someone like Osher Yosef at AAS. But of course we should be doing that. Of course we should be doing that. But the important thing that I always stress to everybody is that it's not one thing. A lot of times, I talk to people in our community and they say we need to focus all of our efforts on humanitarian, on fundraising. We need to focus all of our efforts on lobbying. We need to focus all of our efforts on protests or whatever it is. It's not, there's no sort of one answer. We need to do all of those things. We need to do, these are things that work, that sort of work hand in hand of, raising, sending money directly to the homeland, working with our leaders around the world with, not just the United States government, but governments everywhere, to enact, larger scale efforts. So that was a very long-winded way to say, yes, we should be knocking on the doors of these wealthier people. But you know what? At this point, everybody has to contribute. It's everyone. If you have $1 to give to our people, give it to our people. This isn't. This is an all hands on deck situation. We don't have time to waste, and we don't sort of have the luxury of only relying on the handful of people that we always rely on for fundraising. At this point, if you have a drop of Assyrian blood, or even if you don't, even if you're just a non-Assyrian, you should be contributing to this cause because our people are being massacred and we need to help them.
Right. I know lots of people are trying to, well, we're going to have Chab Nisan coming up, and the question is, should we celebrate it, and how should we celebrate it, or should we just not celebrate it? So what's your feeling on that? Or what's your take on that?
Okay, so I'm going to answer this question as Steve Oshana, not as Steve Oshana, executive director of Demand for Action.
Right.
I'm going to answer this question just as me, as a 29-year-old guy, a Syrian person. Not celebrating Chab Nisan is what ISIS is trying to do to us now. They don't want us to celebrate Chab Nisan because they want us all dead. They're trying to eradicate our presence. Like, to me personally, as an individual, I think not celebrating that is their ultimate goal. Chab Nisan is a celebration of our continual presence in not only in our homeland, but around the world. Since time immemorial. So, like, I think that that celebration is such an important part of our culture, and to me, Chab Nisan is our best protest, right? I mean, going and protesting in front of the White House is one thing, but celebrating our continual presence in our homelands, for millennia, is a really sort of poignant way of doing that. So that would be me as an individual. If we're talking sort of organizationally, you know what? I don't. I would defer to our organizational leaders. I would defer to our people. I think everyone, could make a decision about that for themselves. I can't tell somebody what they should or shouldn't be doing in a situation like that. However, me personally as an individual, I will be, I will be commemorating our that event, just because it's something that's important to me and I think is important to our people.
Steve, another question about, we're going to have organizing all these demonstrations. We're going to go to San Francisco and different states, and we're going to rally. Now, what's your take on that? Should we do that, or is that a waste of time?
I don't think anything is a waste of time. Look, I mean, to me, demonstrations and rallies in a lot of ways are sort of it's a mourning ritual in a lot of ways, because we all have all this pent up anger, all this, this tragedy is affecting us all in such a serious way. I think for everybody to get together to express their frustration, to express their anger, to mourn, we are getting, to get together and mourn as a community. I think that's very healthy. I think it's a healthy expression of our own emotions. I think it's a healthy expression of democracy in this great country that we live in.
Wonderful. I was thinking maybe this time we could take a drastic action. Maybe we could dress up in orange or do something unusual to get attention.
I'll leave you on one final note, because I have to go in a second here, but I'll leave you on this note. Since we're talking about mourning, Nuri and I and everybody that we were with when we were on Capitol Hill meeting with our politicians, as you can tell now, we were dressed in mourners attire. We were wearing black suits and black ties to make the point to our leaders that we are a nation in mourning right now, and that is and that is something that they really need to understand, is that we're all mourning right now.
Thank you, Steve, for joining us. And I believe Nuri Kino will be joining us shortly.
I believe that sounds accurate.
Is he standing next to you?
Not directly, but Nuri is always close by. That's one thing about working with Nuri Kino, that he's always close by. So he'll be with you here in a moment.
Great. Thank you, Stephen. Thank you for all your hard work.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. خزيان مغبى عدي بسبارخ الميقرا نوري كينو دولة لخا. Nuri?
Yes. Good evening.
Hi. Nice having you here, Nuri.
Ram Shabricho. Hi, guys. Hi.
Dachivet.
Well, we are all horrified, mourning, sleepless, but we have also shown the world that we will not allow and we will not sit idle by why we have abducted children, women, and men, and we will never stop giving them a voice. And I think we are all doing our best, and we can't. The only thing we can do is to keep pushing for international intervention. We need to keep pushing for airstrikes. We need to keep pushing for negotiations to get our abducted children and women and men out. We need to keep pushing for humanitarian aid. I spoke to Hasake. I woke one of the Syriac Orthodox priests up just a couple of minutes ago to get hold of the situation, to get the broader picture. And they are screaming out their fear. They're also begging for humanitarian aid. These people, again, same things like in the Nineveh plain and Mosul, left with only their clothes on their back, and they need everything that there is. And this cannot, of course, we as Assyrians, Syriacs, Chaldeans, we will do everything we can in our churches, in our charity organizations, to fundraise and send to our people. But we also demand the rights. We are taxpayers in the free world. We are taxpayers in America, in US, in Canada, in Europe. We have the right to get assistance to our needy ones, and we will get that. We will not give up until we have that. We will not give up in US as politicians to lobby the politicians. We have done awesome job in just a few days. We have accomplished a lot. We have the world media with us. We have reached every single world edition. We have made sure that they have interviewed people in Syria, that they have interviewed all our spokespersons as Demand for Action, but also all other Assyrian organizations. We are operating day and night right now in 9 countries. While I'm talking to you, I see telegrams from 4 of the countries. We are doing our best, but it's not good enough if we don't get the superpower behind us, and we will get that because we have the rights. We are working. We are all professionals. We're working out of evidence. We have just submitted 2 very professional reports. Amnesty International has been in touch with us to write their report on their behalf from us. We've been on New York Times, name it, Sky News, Fox News, CNN. But we are not content because we have women, we have children who are abducted by the most evil terrorist and inhuman beasts in the world. And we will get them out of there. We want our children and women back.
Yeah. I know how you feel. All of us have. I personally haven't been able to sleep or eat, or I've been worried constantly about what's going on and how I can help. I think all of us Assyrians are feeling the same way, and we sometimes feel helpless. But I think there are things that we can do. Each person can do something in their own way to help the rescuing of our people in Syria and Iraq. Nuri, with all your meetings, do you see any tangible results? Do we have anything that we came in with one thing, and then did they give us one thing that we're for sure have it in our pocket, but before we walk out of Washington, D.C.?
What we can say, they, of course, told us that information needs to be classified. But what we can say is that we are happy for the time they have given us, and we are also pleased that all the information that we have provided has been valuable. Wonderful. We can say that, yes.
Wonderful. Now, are you making similar?
We are also very happy with the contribution we got from Sotoro and from MFS. That's why we also can succeed, because we have our militias helping us with information.
Now, as far as contribution, these are informational contribution or financial contribution?
No. We're saying that we have received very good material from our militias that we could provide to the American government.
Yes. Oh, well, of course, that's we need credibility, and you get incredible information to present so that they can continue supporting us. Nuri, do you
we have 5 journalists and 4 lawyers going through every single word that we give to a politician or to a human rights organization. We are doing this on the highest level of the world. And if that is not enough, shame on the world. Shame on the world. Because we have shown that we are united. We have shown that we have the best in the world. We have shown that we can do it exactly the way they are asking us to do it.
Yeah.
There's nothing they asked us for that we have not provided them.
Well,
shame on the world if they will betray us.
Yes.
Again.
We have been, actually, amazingly, we are united, and I am pleased to say that most of the meetings we have had, it's been Assyrians from all over the world on a conference call talking together, and then we had a plan, it's organized, and no one's is getting mad at each other, and it has brought us together. Now, are you doing any similar things in, like, say, Australia? Are you going to meet people in Australia or other European countries?
Steve is flying to Australia next week. We are in touch with every single country that we are represented in. And we have had the Swedish Foreign Minister, Margot Wallström, who is one of the most well-known diplomats on earth, going out and saying it's a genocide. And making declaration about that.
Right. Now, currently in Syria...
We send out approximately 7,000 tweets every day. We have a Twitter army that the Human Rights Watch, Amnesty, and all other organizations in the world, even the Helsinki Committee told us today in a meeting that no other organization in the world does such an incredible job as our Twitter army. Every single one of those girls, ladies, and men are heroes. Every single one that is in our organization fighting day and night to provide the best information in the world is a hero. And we're going to show the world that we will never allow another Widad. Widad is our hero, the girl that was beheaded in the harbor. I need to go, Romina. I have a lot of work. I'm sorry.
Nuri, can I ask you a last question? How many people do we have right now held hostage? How many women? Can you give me a statistical information? How many women? How many men? How many kids? How many are alive? How many maybe?
The number is dwindling because some have been missing and then turning up not being hostage. Others that they thought were hostages were in other places, like some fled to Qamishli, some fled to Haseki. So it's very, very hard to give an exact number, but there are some numbers out there. Approximately 250 people are missing.
Okay. Well, Nuri, thank you very much for being with us, and I look forward to your future reports. And thank you for your hard work.
Thank you, AMB. Thank you for all the awesome job you always do. We love you guys. We love you. And we love every single of our organizations and churches that show the world that we are united.
Yes.
As Chaldeans, Syriacs, and Assyrians.
Yes.
We are
united. Thank you. Thank you so much.
God bless you. God bless you.
God bless you too. خزيان مغرب اللي هي قد مغبالو قنا program فيمون أمان قاغزت program خينا بوشن بشنا.
I am not silent, but I cannot shout out loud, but my voice is weak. I cry for help and hope that I'll be heard. My heart is bleeding and it hurts. They have been slaying us for thousands of years. Unspoken name, forbidden land of Nineveh. We are the ones who lived since ancient days. The name of Ashur still remains. Let's get together and raise our voice to make it clear and show our choice. We choose to live despite it all. We will be stronger and stand up tall. We will be stronger and stand up tall. Dawn has broken with blood darker than nightfall. These are the darkest days of all. They crawled upon us like a bad disease. There is no air to breathe. Look at the children's eyes, they're full of fear. There's no one there to wipe away their tears. They can be saved from tears of this crime if the world hears.